Hi, we're at 1 minute and 11 seconds in this video I've stopped at, and it's someone re-uploading someone else's video, so I'll just leave a link to this video. But it shows a person responding to the fact that his iPhone has a different time on it than this piece of equipment that's plugged into the power line, another one that's a microwave, and another one that's a mechanical clock. All of these are plugged into either the power system or they're plugged in with batteries. And they're supposed to have good quality crystal timing clocks. And they're all off by 7 minutes because instead of 11:45, it's supposed to be 11:52 or something. That they are speeding up time or they are modifying time. The infamous they. So I'm going to point out a couple of things here that need to be pointed out to any of you watching this. This is a profoundly perfect example of a person not understanding that a lot of equipment you have is based on measuring time, assuming that the electrical system in your area is running at 60 cycles a second or 50 cycles a second, and that it's consistent. And over a long enough period of time it is. What happens is if the power grid is being stressed in any way at the generators themselves, in many cases, they will simply change rotation rate. They put out less energy, but a side effect is they change frequency. This happens on the power grid all the time. Now, before you start screaming and typing in the comments that the infamous they, which will be remaining nebulous because you all won't get together and give us a single they, that's actually the answer in this specific video. And this is a profoundly good example of what people don't know. Your iPhone, virtually all cell phones, in fact, a lot of equipment that has any internet connection, and also especially equipment that has a GPS, like your iPhone or your cell phone, will really use a timing system that's all over the planet that is designed to be virtually impossible to screw up, and it does anyway. Every one of you has found out that you can not only lose signal with the cell phone sites and the towers, but you can also just lose sync because your phone or device of any kind isn't able to detect GPS anymore because you went under a bridge or whatever, and that will absolutely screw up the timing. Now, why would that? Well, it's because it doesn't just carry time data, it carries the time data as a stated time after the hour. And if that information gets interrupted, the phone will just take the garbage information and reset the clock sometimes. And then when you have a clear view, between each declarative point where it gives the actual time, it uses the tick factor to move it forward and back and eventually corrects itself. So at any one time, your clock can be wrong by an astonishingly large amount, but most of the time it isn't. And again, that microwave oven you have, or in this case, he's pointing at an ordinary range. It's probably using inductive heaters. And before that, he was pointing at a clock on the wall. These all, in almost all cases, use not only some crystal-controlled oscillator, which is really good but not perfect, they also use the power line. And I want to point out, for those of you who say actually, and just put up the meme, again, that equipment isn't perfect. A crystal oscillator on a quote-unquote, like your old digital watches like people used to talk about, like the LED ones and LCD ones from the old days, that crystal oscillator is the same one that's on these pieces of equipment. It can be wrong by several minutes in a year if it isn't reset every once in a while. The point is that every once in a while, you're supposed to go along and reset them. Once a month is a good timing because it'll be maybe off noticeable amount, like a minute. But until there's a minute of drift, most people don't notice it. Well, if you go 6 months, guess what? That's 6 minutes of drift on average, which is why he's got almost exactly 7 minutes of time difference. He said it was 6 months since the last time he set the clocks and got them perfectly synchronized, and they're all off. If his iPhone is perfectly accurate. It probably is. It's using equipment that's designed to be based on being accurate to a picosecond in some cases. But that doesn't mean it's going to be error-free. You will have errors. You can have perfectly accurate information and it still be wrong because the information is very precision-based, but it's wrong. Precision and accuracy are not the same thing. Now, why am I doing this video? They are speeding up time, or time seems off, or whatever. And I'm seeing a lot of YouTube videos on this subject simply because someone posted one video and I watched it all the way through, and most of these people talk about the frequency of reality and a bunch of other things that are not relevant. So I'm going to say something at this point in the video that's going to piss people off universally, but it is a harsh truth. We have a limited number of senses, and it's not just 5. We have a limited amount of experience, each and every one of us, and as we get older, we forget things and we get set in our ways. So and no matter what time in your life, you're going to have biases, or you're going to be ignorant of something, and you're just going to have to say the following: I can be wrong. Not the equipment, not reality. It's not a parallel universe. It's not Mandela effect. I am a human being and I can be wrong. And the next thing you have to say you're not going to like is that even when we compare notes with each other, we can be wrong. And even if everybody on the planet agrees on something, that doesn't necessarily mean it's correct either. I've seen comments in some of these videos, comment sections, where people are saying, if the government says it's real, it's fake, and vice versa. This is a mindset that people have, no matter how obvious it is, that only right now are you seeing an actual full government lying to you in your lifespan. If you talk to people older than me, look for somebody in their 60s, they'll tell you about the last time they dealt with it. God help you if you talk to somebody in the 70s, who in their 70s, because they're going to tell you about, finding out about the Kent State massacre. Okay? What you're going to be finding out, what you're experiencing here, and everybody does this every couple of years because people get basically suddenly realize that they're wrong about things, and your ego kicks in and you can't accept that you can make a mistake, groups of people can make a mistake, the entire internet can be wrong about something, and you have to accept that that's real, that reality doesn't give a shit if you know about it. Reality keeps chugging along. There is no they speeding up time. It's the power company in this person's case that isn't keeping it perfectly synchronized. You can buy a piece of equipment that counts the number of cycles per second your power line puts out over a period of time and then average it and figure out how wrong it is. In fact, I recommend everybody do that because it tells you how stressed the power system is in the area. During wintertime especially, this happens. The point I'm making here, and it also doesn't help that a lot of you are stuck with the same thing I am, where we change our clock backwards and forwards an hour every 6 months. I'm sorry, but this is stupid. It should stop being done. It's not accomplishing what it was supposed to, even the people who are blamed for the reason for it, like farmers, they don't want it done either. This is bullshit. But anyway, getting back to this. There is no they speeding up time or slowing down time or whatever meme you're going to run into if you were looking up something and found my video. What you're experiencing here is you're resisting and pushing back against the concept that you could be making a mistake and that groups of people can make a mistake. It's nothing else other than I'm a human and I can make a mistake. If you are experiencing this, just take we're doing this as a short video. I got paid $500 an hour to explain to a CEO or sub-CEO that ran Eubank that they were simply wrong. It took me 4 hours to get him to nut up and actually admit he made a mistake. Because at that point, they brought him to my computer shop, and I signed an NDA, but the guy died a couple of years ago, so it doesn't matter. But the point is, that son of a bitch wouldn't admit he was wrong, even though it would cause potentially a financial collapse back in the 90s. Okay? That's how bad this kind of problem is. Please don't be the stupid CEO that won't admit that he personally made a mistake and simply own it and be required to be dragged to a random computer shop in Portland, Oregon to have some geek and hacker tell him he made a mistake because he's simply wrong. I'm going to do the cheap version. It's not $500. You're wrong. Because we're all wrong once in a while. It's okay to be wrong. But in this case, this YouTuber has posted a video, reposting someone else's video, showing that the power lines in the area are showing that their timing is wrong. If you don't want this to happen, what you have to have is a resynchronization every day at, let's say, 2 a.m. or whatever, where all the equipment actually uses a central time system that matches correctly. And you use it using something called an atomic clock synchronization device or something like that. They used to sell them. Nobody really needs to use them anymore. We don't care about it. You can also inject noise into the power line to make the timers shift forward by adding in extra cycles every once in a while to try to trick it. And they're full cycles, so they actually do fit. You just every once in a while insert 120 cycles per second for 3 cycles, and that'll do it. Or you can just get clocks that actually have more accurate timers to it. It's not a big deal. But again, everything you see on the internet shouldn't be taken as being an indication something's shifting or whatever. It's not. Again, say it with me. I'm a human, I can be wrong, and that means every human on the planet can be wrong. And yes, they can be wrong at the same time about the same thing, because we all have biases and perceptions that are not perfect. And that's just something you accept, because if you can't accept it, you're going to drive yourself fucking crazy because your ego won't let you say, I made a mistake. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. You'll all need it.